Hello and welcome to Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
Caleb, how you want to do this show? Because we really can't say the B word.
Yes. The Buggle Goose or whatever.
Buggle Goose? Okay.
Buggle
So today
Goose.
we're talking about the world famous franchise Buggle Goose. Buggle Goose was a movie. Was that an 80s film? I think it was an
88.
80s. 88, yeah. So
Ye- Year year before Batman 89. So
this is a Tim Burton classic film that spawned a cartoon series, spawned
cartoon.
a toy line,
Yep.
spawned a Broadway show, and now has spawned a sequel. So I thought, why don't we talk about the ghost with the most?
Yeah. Which is fun because uh all of this that I'm experiencing this year. Like, this is not a movie that I grew up with. Strangely enough, because my parents love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I maybe saw it when I was a kid, maybe one time, but I have no recollection. And so for me, it all started a couple months ago with with the musical, and then became, everything else. So um, I think the best way to go about this is actually chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be up on the screen, but we're not going to say it. So we can just start with the initial film.
Sure. The initial film, I remember seeing like when I'd go over to like a friend's house and they had like HBO or whatever, and I'd see like parts of this. I'd see like parts of this is about Adam and Barbara who have been turned into who have died and now are trying to deal with being in the afterlife.
Yeah, they're
And
given a book.
yeah, and there's new people moving in their house. They don't like them, so they're trying to figure out how to get rid of them. And so they find out about this bio exorcist and how to summon him, and shenanigans ensue. Um, the parts though where they're actually going to the dead. I remember the first thing I remember about this movie is the scene of the guy who's been ran over by the car and him like hanging up by like the wire and
Yeah.
going through. I distinctly remember that as a kid. So that's probably the first clip I really ever saw of this movie. And the lady smoking and the smoke coming out of her neck and all that. So yeah, this is a movie that's been, then eventually I saw it. I probably saw it on television, so it was edited. And then like years later I saw it unedited. Go, whoa, this movie's dirty.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so this was a big part of my childhood. I was a big fan of Michael Keaton. He was, Mr. Mom and Batman and all stuff. So he was like one of those actors I was very familiar with as a kid. And
which is fun because I experienced that, but like much later, because he had a resurgence around the time that I was probably a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I was a teenager, he's everywhere now.
Right, yeah, because he kind of went away for a while, and
and then Birdman and okay, so he was the bad guy in the RoboCop remake as well. So technically, that was probably the first modern thing that I saw him in. Like, of course, I've seen Batman and and all that, but definitely,
have you seen Multiplicity?
I have. Yes, that was much later though.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I love this film. I really love the characters. Like I said, I grew up watching this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was probably 9 when this came out. So probably about the right age, And then the cartoon, of course, we watched that like every day. It went on for several seasons.
Mm-hmm. The research that I was doing on the cartoon, and we'll get to the cartoon here in a second. I didn't realize that it went through 65 episodes in 2 months.
Yeah, I mean that's how they did it back in the day. Syndication, they'd crank out those cartoons.
Yeah, but yeah, as far as the first movie goes, I'm a fan of it. So I'm now that I've seen it, I essentially the way this went for me is I watched the musical a couple months ago, and then uh, my mom and dad really want to go see the sequel, and so we see that maybe 2 weeks ago. And so like the day before, I decided to go ahead and watch this. So I watched this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie before. uh, just very very vaguely recollecting. So I am a I really do enjoy this. I think that it's for me the weirdest thing is like this is not Alec Baldwin. um, this is
Right.
this is a completely different actor. There's no way that's Alec Baldwin.
Right. I think when you get down to it, movie might be the purest Tim Burton movie there is. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
Edward Scissorhands comes close, and Nightmare Before Christmas. He's involved, but he's not involved. Involved.
I saw I saw a video where it was about Danny Elfman and how like he got involved with doing orc because apparently Tim Burton, not Tim Burton, Danny Elfman originally was just in a band.
Uh-huh.
Um, and Tim Burton liked the band so much. He's like, I want you to do the score for my movies. Um, and they're like, hey, Danny, we want you to come back for this movie Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like, is Tim doing it? He's like, well, actually, it's Henry Selick, but Tim Burton's going to be involved, and he's honestly going to get way too much credit for it. He's like, I'm in. Because
You talk about Nightmare Before Christmas.
is that what I said?
I think you said Nightmare on Elm Street, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, I was about to say Danny Elfman did Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, Tim
No,
Burton was involved. Okay, cool.
no. It was, yeah. I mean, it's even weird because Coraline, like, Coraline, he's not involved at all, and yet I still think he gets credit.
Yeah, yeah. I love Coraline. It's one of my favorites.
And I'm so excited. I'm a big Neil Gaiman fan. So, well, okay. So,
Wow.
okay,
Wow, Caleb.
I'm a big fan of the works that have been done by him, and that is all I will say until.
This is a safe space. If you want to say you're a Joss Whedon fan, it's okay. I will
I
let
am
you say
actually, I am not actually like. I've actually gone back and I've actually gone back and I've watched most of his stuff, and I'm like, okay, so he had some diamonds in the rough. Most of his stuff is actually really bad. But that's neither here nor there. This is not the
Yeah.
redacted Whedon show.
But I really like this movie. I like the special effects. I like when they, there's a lot of iconic moments, like when they
Mhm.
stretch their skin out, their faces out, and all that. It's just a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
And
Great
then
cast.
yeah,
It's just a fun movie. I really like this.
yeah.
I almost said it's
So
a kids horror film, but it's not quite. I mean, it's got that '80s grime on it, you know.
yeah, I wouldn't. I'm trying to think of how I would. I think that this is. I would compare Michael Keaton's performance to Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. So, like, I would say this is probably just as much of a kids' film as The Dark Knight is, where it's like it's not a kids' film. I wouldn't even put this in the family film category, but your 12-year-old's not going to be scarred.
No,
Maybe your 8-year-old. Maybe your
and
8-year-old.
even then,
Yeah.
some of the sequences towards the end are a little scary, but it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially because like okay, so the effects look really good, but they
Hmm.
also look very 80s.
Sure, yeah,
So like if you're looking for it, you can see you can see the lines, I guess.
sure. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Sounds like you're a big fan.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Well, I'm gonna sidetrack us for just a second, real quick.
Okay.
Take a little quick glimpse at the toy line.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead.
just pull it up. I don't know how familiar you are with these. Let me see if I can zoom
Not
in
at
a
all.
little.
Not at all.
I remember these being a big deal when I was a kid. Um, and it was a lot of, I don't know if you've ever seen the Ghostbuster toys where there's a lot of actions you can do, like you push a button, the guy's face flies off, it's a skull, and oh no, his head spins around, and oh, I can put knives through Beetlejuice and wacky stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it says create your own
Yeah.
practical joke fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So I feel like whoever made these is probably Kenner. I would assume probably did the Ghostbuster toys because they're very similar.
Um, that doesn't necessarily look Kenner, actually. Let me. You got me
It
curious
does
now.
say Kenner in the bottom right
It.
corner. I can see
It
it
really.
on the
Okay.
box down there. I can see it. The
That
Kenner
is
logo.
Kenner. Okay.
Yep.
Oh.
So, and I
Oh.
could almost guarantee they did the Ghostbuster toys because they're the exact same gimmicks, the exact same, head spinning and same kind of gross out kids humor. So
6 inches tall. Though that's actually uh that I mean that's relatively large for a kid's toy actually.
mhm.
Because most of your especially with Kenner, it all starts off with the 3 3/4 inch.
I'm just trying to figure out. I guess that is Alec Baldwin there on the front row with the checkered shirt. I was trying to
I
figure out
could
who that
see
was.
I could see that.
Yeah, he's got the little crow face or whatever, the stretched out face down there. Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
and I think that the I can't remember his name, the bio exorcist guy they hire in the first movie. The
Or
yeah,
I can't
something
I can't think of yeah, yeah.
Otis or something. I think that's him in the back row. I know there is a figure of him. I don't know if it's that one, but there is there's some other toys. So just wanted to bring those up because
Mhm.
it is part of the Beetlejuice. Oh shoot, that was one journey. So that was
Keep
one.
keep them counting. Keep them counting.
Okay. We've been doing
Um,
so good. All right.
I know. So
Next up was the cartoon. It was everywhere on streaming last month in
I
September, and then as
I
soon as we went to watch it, it's gone.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Caleb has his ways. He did watch a few episodes. I watched this
Yeah.
growing up though, so I do
Mhm.
have memories of it. So Caleb, what do you think
So
of the cartoon?
before we proceed with the animated series, I want to go ahead and get something out of the way, both about the first movie and the franchise as a whole. Um, and I will say this: you know how I talk about like Ghostbusters? I'm like, that's a franchise. I don't get it. Like that's always been my opinion there. Uh, I think this is a. I get why this is more of why this could be a franchise.
Okay.
uh, most of most 80s stuff to me, I really don't get it. Like, you get like your RoboCop and then RoboCop the cartoon. Like, I don't understand it. This I get. Now, whenever I say this specific thing, because I think this is actually, of the four things, and five things. Now we talk about the um talked about the toys. Um, what I'm about to say has nothing to do with the quality, but it of a single um, product in the franchise. This should exemplify how good of a franchise I think this is. So this is more or less, in my eyes, a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie is my least favorite out of all of these.
See, I have such nostalgia for it. It's hard for
Mhm.
me to judge it,
Sure, sure, definitely.
and
No,
I
I
I
understand. Like,
really really love the characters of Adam and Barbara.
oh yeah, sure, sure,
I mean,
definitely.
it is their largely their movie and Lydia. Um, so the
So,
cartoon is very different
oh,
because
100%. They're
uh,
friends.
they are best buds,
Yep.
Lydia and this ghost.
I went ahead and I watched the first episode as well.
Hmm.
Which I
This is a
honestly,
babysitting episode or whatever.
yeah. So
Yeah, we
and
watched that like last week. So
honestly, I think there's more to talk about in that first episode than the other episodes because the first episode kind of it's set up for the rest of the show,
mhm.
and they really don't change from the first episode. Um, yeah, so they've been friends for a year, and he decides that he wants to get a babysitting job to give Lydia a present for their 1 year friend anniversary. um, and it turns out that babies in the Neither World, which I think
Mhm.
it's a great name,
Mhm.
the Neither World, um, is much different than the Outer World, which we gotta say these things, like we have to say destroy instead of kill, and
Mhm. Right.
so the
There are
Neither World and the Outer World.
there are FCC rules they have to
Hmm.
follow. So
Yeah. Uh,
I the one thing I remember this cartoon was there's a lot of cast members in the um, I'm gonna call it the wrong thing, the netherworld, the world of the dead, that pop up repeatedly. And I just remember this one episode where they were fighting some villains called the Ugly Ogly Brothers, and I still remember this as the funniest joke ever, where they're like, "Don't look at them," and the camera just pans over to them, and they just get progressively uglier and uglier and uglier, uglier, and it finally just flashes censored across the screen. And I laughed my head off as a kid when I saw
yeah.
that. That was, it was just something you didn't see in cartoons back then. And, so this was a cartoon that I don't know if I'd call it cutting edge, but it was kind of, they were seeing what they could get away with.
I actually didn't see when this first aired. I didn't check that.
I mean, it had to be shortly after the first movie, like 89, I would have to assume.
Let's see. Yeah, 89.
I think it ran for 4 years. Yeah. So
No, 3 years actually.
3 years.
Yeah,
I
because
think they did 4 seasons in 3 years. They did crazy things like that with cartoons back then.
well, and the funny thing is, so the it's insane. First season, 13 episodes from September 9th of 89 to December 9th of 89.
Hmm.
Season 2 is September 8 episodes, September 8th of 1990 to October 26th of 1990.
Hmm.
Um, and this is really weird. So season 3 and season 4 ran concurrently,
Hmm.
one on ABC and one on Fox Kids.
Hmm.
Season 3 on ABC, 8 episodes from September 7th of 91 to October 26th of 91.
Hmm.
And then on Fox Kids, which is season 4, 65 episodes from
So,
September 9th of 91 to December 6th of 91.
so do you understand what that is?
Um,
One is a Saturday morning cartoon, and one is the weekday cartoons. So the 65 episodes are your weekday runs, and the 8 episode runs, 12 episode runs, 13 episode runs. Those are your Saturday morning ones. And so
okay.
to get it to be a moneymaker, you want to get into syndication. I think 65 is the magic number. It's either 55 or 65. That way you could have new episodes Monday through Friday for 12 to 13 weeks and not repeat any.
Yeah. Well, and like this one, 94 episodes.
Yeah, by the end, sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
you'll see a lot of times those 90 cartoons will all of a sudden have like either the total run will be 65 episodes or you'll have like this huge Ninja Turtles did that a lot where also they'd have like a 65 episode season or something.
Yeah.
Because they want that syndication. You want the networks to buy your show because there wasn't really Cartoon Network back then, and Nickelodeon was very limited back then.
Mm-hmm.
So syndication was where the money was, and I kind of, TV has changed so much since then. Streaming.
Get my walker and my
Yeah, let me
kid.
yell at the clouds, you kids. Ah.
You know what's fun? Lydia is played by Allison Court.
So who is she?
So she was the lead role, Lynette the Clown in Big Comfy Couch.
Okay, yes, I
Uh,
do know who that is.
she was Claire Redfield in the Resident Evil franchise,
Such a weird career. Yeah.
and Jubilee in
That
X-Men.
yes, that's what I know her from. Yes. Uh-huh.
So she could voice two characters. She could voice Marvel versus Capcom by herself.
And
Uh,
they actually brought her back for X-Men 97 to voice the older Jubilee in the Mojo episode, I think.
I Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yep. I just looked at that. Yep. So yeah, I mean, like this. This is going to be a kind of a recurring thing for me. Um, so you know how like as a franchise goes on, uh, we have this phrase that's called Flanderization, after Ned Flanders, right?
hmm
Uh, now, usually that's an insult. I will say that whenever I say this, I mean this as a compliment. This is out of love. I think that Beetlejuice gets
that's two.
Oh God,
Um,
that's two. I think that this franchise and specifically this character gets better the more it's flanderized. I
sure.
I think when like you actually um, exemplify and go overboard with your characters in this franchise, I think it gets better. So um, like it's like you go back and you watch the original, and it's like okay, this. Ironically, the original is the most grounded.
hmm
And so, you get to the cartoon and it's already pretty wacky.
Sure. Yeah, it is a very wacky cartoon. So let's move on. So this property was dead for decades, and then
Yeah,
kind of resurgence on Broadway.
yep. This came out in 2018. Is whenever it first hit the scene. Now the fun thing is this guy who plays
That guy.
Bugglegoose.
Yeah.
Um, this is Alex Brightman. Alex Brightman. He's an actor. He's brilliant. Uh, he actually played Dewey. Dewey Finn, Mr. S, Mr. Schneebly, in the Broadway version of uh, School of Rock.
Oh, okay.
This guy's a big guy, and so this is not who we saw though. Essentially as it goes on, um, yeah, whenever Cameron and I went to go see the musical, we saw the main cast at the time.
hmm
The way that musicals work, especially when they're on tour,
hmm
is it won't necessarily be the recording cast or the original Broadway cast, but it technically is the main touring cast.
Right.
Um, and honestly, I've seen videos of Alex Brightman, and I've seen videos of Justin. I can't think of his name. His name's Justin something. Very similar as far as mannerisms. This is very much it feels like Deadpool.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of
So
breaking the fourth wall. A lot of.
yes, and they actually they go way farther in the musical than they do in anything else they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's a lot more vulgar.
yeah, I mean it's so funny whenever a character says "f you" to an audience member. It's the funniest thing. There was actually uh, there's actually this one part. So the way the musical differs is it gives more depth to the Maitlands. So honestly, I think the Maitlands are actually better written here because there's actually more to their character.
hmm
One of the big things is we actually see them die.
mm
Um, and
Yeah, the original script was a much more grisly fate.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and what's fun is their first number is called "Ready Set Not Yet," and it's the third song in the because the first scene is Lydia singing like just a solemn "My mom's dead." you're invisible when you're sad. Then it cuts to him coming out saying, "Holy crap, a ballad already!" and he just does like this whole circus performance song. It's amazing, the whole Being Dead thing. And then it goes to Ready Set Not Yet, and it's about how the Maitlands have been married for 10 years. They're going by their 10-year plan, and they haven't accomplished anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where they've got this 10-year plan, but they're too scared to start it.
That's
And
interesting. I thought they were newlyweds, so they were married for 10 years. Okay.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
And so uh, it ends with them deciding to actually the big thing is they've built a crib and they don't have a baby.
Mhm.
And she's into ceramics, but ceramics are so fragile that
Mhm.
if she breaks a ceramic jug, babies are even more fragile. It's all about them wanting to have
Mhm.
a baby and not going through with it. They decide, you know what? Yes, we're gonna we're gonna have a baby. Let's do it. Let's do it. And then they hold hands. They plug something in, and then they're electrocuted to death.
Oh, so it's a different death. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so that's one of the main differences. Is a lot of the Maitlands stuff is about like Adam. He's just kind of he's a coward.
Mhm.
He was afraid to get started. He with starting a family, and whenever it comes to Beetlejuice, he's afraid to stand up to Beetlejuice.
Mhm.
um,
Ah!
yep, yep, that's it.
All right, I'm looking for him.
Do you remember Community?
Yes, that
Uh,
is one of the best jokes on Community.
for those who don't know, for the first 3 seasons of Community, in an episode in one of the seasons, they say it. And then the second season, one of the episodes, they say it. And then the third episode, I think it's actually is it the Halloween, the third Halloween episode, or is it just a random episode?
I want to say it's a Halloween episode.
Yeah, they say it, and then in the background, he just kind of
Walks
walks
by.
walks by. So
So funny.
yeah, it's great. And I remember being online and like season 3 was coming out. They're like, "Oh man, are they gonna get Michael Keaton?" um, but yeah, so Adam's afraid to stand up. Um, and what one thing that I appreciate, because it's really funny, is Bugglegoo. I mean, I've already said it. Beetlejuice.
No, don't say quit it. You're trying to curse us.
If I say, what happens if I say it 4 times?
Well, you say it 2 more times, so leave.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
one.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you're allowed 2 more the rest of the show.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's not only does he sexualize Barbara, but he also sexualizes Adam just as equally, and it's really funny.
So it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show then.
This is so Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
um, Another thing that's different is uh, I don't think they ever specify how long ago in the movie Lydia's mother died and how fast Charles moved on.
Mhm.
In the musical, it's 6 months, and
Yeah, it felt fast. Yeah.
yeah. So in the musical, it's 6 months. He's already moved on. And his whole thing is, he wants to make sure that Lydia has uh he's their whole thing with Lydia and Charles and Deidre is Delia is they're moving on too fast, or they're moving past it too fast. Like Charles is in a lot of pain, but he doesn't want his daughter to see that. But he also doesn't realize that his daughter seeing that is part of the healing process. um, And so those are your human characters. And then, Beetlejuice, that's two, uh, is he's kind of thrown in the mix because, and I think there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more. Lydia wants to torture her dad.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that's how he comes into the mix. And the fun thing is we actually spend a little bit of time in the other world as well. Not as much as in the cartoon or in the sequel, but quite a bit of time, to the point where it turns out that the person who the person who is kind of like the check-in lady who's like
Mm-hmm.
organizing, get on through, get on through. That's his mom.
Okay.
And so there's a whole. It's not a whole B story. It's more like the setup to a joke, and it's a really funny joke. uh, it's about him and his mom, uh, and eventually, what happens is it the mom is the one that's like, oh, come on, we got to get everyone back to where they need to go, blah blah, and then the sandworm comes out and eats her.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so the setup for the joke is he picks up his mom's severed leg and says, "Hey Lydia, look, I got a dead mom too." And he's like, "Hey Lydia, look at this, look at this." And then in not in our show, but in my mom and dad's show, my other aunt and uncle show,
Uh-huh.
because they saw it on Friday, and then Cameron and I saw it on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
In their show, and they were convinced that this was a plant, but it didn't happen in our show. And they knew someone who was kind of part of the production team. They confirmed it was not a plant. Uh, Someone gets up to like at that point, and this is towards the end of the show. Hey, I've got a dead mom too. Uh, Lady gets up to, I guess, go to the bathroom or something like that. He
Yeah.
turns and says, "What? Out of everything in the show, that's what gets you?" And so, and then she's like, "Go on," gives him a thumbs up, and he gives a thumbs up back. And then as soon as she turns around, he double flips her off. like
Gave her the
like
old double deuce.
oh yeah. So yeah, it's that I'm trying to remember specifically how it definitely doesn't end with him getting uh eaten by the sandworm. uh
Yeah. Yeah.
but it is a really good ending. So like I said, if the first one, and honestly this probably plays into it, the first one being while very good, and I think this is a great franchise, the first one being my least favorite, the musical is my favorite. And I'm sure that that has to do with that has to be a correlation between the first one being my least, because I actually really like the rewrites in the musical.
Mm-hmm.
um, Plus this is also not only that, this is my favorite musical, which funny enough, uh, last second, I'm actually dressed for it now. Cameron and I are going to go see Les Mis tonight because
Mm-hmm.
Dad got sick. Um, and so I mean, like Hamilton, objectively better musical. Les Mis, first time I've seen the movie, but first time I'm seeing the stage, probably objectively better. But this is my favorite. This is so my bag. It's got my comedy that I love,
Mm-hmm.
especially the like the darker the comedy, the better. The music itself is very. Let me know if it's circus metal. I don't know if that resonates with you. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. You are slowly roboting as
Um,
you talk.
dang it. So it is the music is circus metal. Um, is it still robot?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, we'll get through it. In fact, after I'm done talking musical, I'll leave and come back. Um, Yeah, I mean, like, I love this, and I I don't need there to be a movie adaptation. Um, and that sounds weird because this is based on a movie, but like we are at the point where Mean Girls was a movie, then a musical, and now the musical is a movie.
Yeah.
So
No, I understand.
so I don't need this to be a movie, especially because like I don't like the way Wicked looks. I think part of the charm is the fact that it's not a movie. I think it's getting better. The everything that shows that my connection's bad. It's gone away. So am I better?
Yes, you are
Okay,
coming in loud and clear.
okay, good. Um, but Disney Plus did Hamilton. Uh, like they actually recorded the stage performance and put it up on Disney Plus. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that
Sure.
for the musical.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that was, this is just my opinion. I think that was supposed to be a full blown movie, and then COVID happened, and they
yep.
just said, "Oh, here's the
Hmm.
recording."
Yeah.
So
Um, now I do think that like stuff like Mean Girls and Hamilton will work better as movie musicals. In the Heights was a really good movie musical.
mhm,
I think whenever you get into the supernatural, it loses its charm.
mhm,
Because seeing the Wicked trailers and like she's flying on her broom, all like so many special effects flying around the Emerald Tower, I'm like, this seems like a blockbuster. And part of the fun of a musical is the creativity
yeah,
of getting around that.
right,
So yeah, I don't need to see this a movie musical, but I would like an official Broadway recording. That would be really fun.
sure. All right, let's get to the final one, the sequel that came out this year, a couple months ago. This sequel has been in the works since the first movie came out.
Hmm.
They tried to make Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii for several years.
I wasn't
Uh,
aware that that was the original pitch.
yeah, that it would be like a goofy take on like summer '50s films, those beach movies, the Annette Funicello and movies, and do
Hmm.
like a Beetlejuice version. Uh, so I mean, I remember hearing about that when I was like, in high school. This pitch was going around. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So the fact that this finally happened is surprising. It was a smash hit. So Tim Burton has said there will not be a part three. I'm almost I'm 50-50 on that. I mean, yes, Michael Keaton's in his 70s. I think they could squeeze out one more if they hurry. We will see. I
I
don't
don't.
want I don't want another one, but I could see the studios forcing one.
It's I don't. It's not necessarily that I don't want another one. It's more like I think that this is a world that can be tapped into, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like not necessarily the character, um, but there's this movie, we spent quite a bit of time in the other world, and
Hmm.
so there's definitely something to be.
Yeah, they were definitely flushing out the other world. I don't know if that was a pun, but they're flushing it out, and there's still a lot of it that we don't understand. I kind of like it that we don't understand everything that's
Yeah.
going on over there. Uh, I will say I did not have the best viewing experience with this. I had a very bad headache, and we got news like during the movie. I got a phone call that a family member had died and stuff. There was just a
Mhm.
lot going on that
Yeah.
day, and so I was kind of like, yeah, it's all right.
Yep.
I didn't love it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Um.
so you had a very different experience.
Yes. Yes. So, not only do I love this movie, my like I said, my parents have loved the first movie for years and years. And I mean, I was surprised because as soon as we came out of that theater, my dad, who loves Beetlejuice, He's gone now. He's
Uh,
gone. He's
okay.
gone.
All
That's
right.
that
No
that
more. Don't say it anymore.
that sticks. He's gone.
All right.
um,
No more.
I was like, you're brave for saying that. I don't. According to my dad and my mom, and we just think we are 2 weeks out. This is not recency bias anymore. Um, this is better than the first one. Like it is. Uh, there's a story here. The first one is nice, but it's more about the world and the experience. There's more character analysis and story going on in this one. And so the four of us, we all like this one more than the original. Pretty much everyone that I've talked to, whether it's at work, because honestly, and I was surprised. Everyone I knew was excited for this to come out. The reason I was surprised is to quote a comedian, Josh Johnson. It's kind of like it's not an insult, but it's finding out that like everyone in the world likes air hockey. It's like, oh, I had no idea. um,
Yeah.
and so
So I'll just run through my
mhm,
list of complaints. And
mhm,
again, I did not have the greatest viewing experience.
mhm.
Felt like Beetlejuice trying to marry the. Oh, I said it. Trying to
We'll get
marry
it.
Lydia again was kind of like, oh, here we're doing this again. And I felt bad for him at the end because he held up his end of the bargain. They didn't. They kind of found a loophole.
Oh no, the loophole is fun because he's still the bad guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, but they were kind of tapping a little bit into a little bit of the Lydia being friends with him, or at least working together with him.
I
Um,
I okay. I gotta be honest. I didn't.
well,
There
you
were
hadn't watched the cartoon yet when you saw this, so if you grew up watching
yeah
the cartoon, when you see them like running together through the underworld, you're like, oh yeah, this is familiar to me. I recognize. It's kicking off something in your brain,
yeah.
saying, yeah, yeah.
I will say I don't think that Tim Burton looked at the
No,
cartoon
I
at all.
guarantee he
Yeah,
did not. But this was
yeah,
written by the Smallville guys, so
true.
they probably grew up watching the cartoon and probably put a little bit of that in there. I also felt like his wife was an unneeded threat. Like the other, like pick one or the other. It was like the two threats. It just felt like the wife didn't really do anything. She just kept looming in the shadows until the very end, or the ex-wife,
Hmm.
Um, and then I was really missing Adam and Barbara, that type of character to latch on to. I mean, Astrid's a cool character, but like right away, I knew that the boy was a ghost and up to no good. As soon as she met, I was like, oh yeah, that's a ghost. Um,
So I was close to that. I I I definitely knew that he was a ghost. I turned to Cameron. I was like, she's got her mom's powers.
Especially with her
Yes.
crashing and hitting her
Yeah,
head, I was like, oh yeah, the power's
yeah,
activated.
yeah. But no, I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't like the whole he killed his parents being a serial or like a not a serial killer but like a murderer like that
Yeah,
that one
I
I
don't know
didn't
if I
call
had
that.
all that figured out, but definitely I'll do like when they were not showing the parents' faces. I was like, oh yeah, they are screwed
Yeah.
up.
I the way I thought it was is I was like, I bet you he's dead and his death caused them to go because I didn't think they were dead. I thought that they were like in a comatose like they were stuck.
Unable
Do
to move on because they
yeah,
lost their kid. Yeah,
like psychologically they were stuck doing what they were doing whenever they weren't paying attention to him and he died.
yeah,
That's kind of what I got. Much better than what I thought. Because
yeah, yeah.
it's them turning around with like not chainsaw, but like buzz saws in their heads is so funny.
Egg beaters and yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I I knew Charles wasn't going to be in this because of the actor.
Mm.
Uh, and this may have been part of the movie I missed because I was doing a phone call about stuff and I decided to step out of the theater. Um, it was interesting the way they handled his character without ever really showing his character, but the character actually being there. Um, I thought that was fine. Um,
I like him talking on his blowhole is hilarious.
yeah. Um, and then I felt like the shrunken head gag was like, oh, okay, we've seen. Yeah, there's a lot of things where like, okay, we've seen this before, but like I said, I was in a bad mood that day.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if I revisit this in 6 months, I'll probably have a different experience.
I think you will as well. Like, so I've always said this, that the viewing experience very much matters. Um, Historically, I hated, loathed Infinity War when it first came out,
Hmm.
because of my theater experience.
Hmm.
And now it's A tier in my tier list.
Yeah, and that could be the other way around too. You have such a great theater experience that you enjoy a bad movie.
Right, right, right.
Like I'm
No,
like, Independence Day was awesome, and then you watch it,
right, right.
oh,
I think most of what comes down to is uh, so rule of cool is a thing.
hmm
I'm not saying that this movie has rule of cool, but rule of funny. Um, if it's funny, it's funny. That's what it's come down to. And so as far as like the ex-wife, I can see how, like, yeah, that kind of didn't go anywhere, but everything she was involved in was really funny.
the
Like with
backstory was fun.
the
Yeah,
back, yeah, a random Danny DeVito appears.
yeah. I was like, okay, all right. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
know him and Tim Burton are buddies. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, huh?
Um, and I mean, it's the same thing with Willem Dafoe's character. I think it's hilarious that Willem Dafoe's character does nothing in this movie. That's the funniest part
Yeah,
because
I I both
he's
liked and didn't like the wedding sequence at the end. I like the music, but also, because that's always been a weird song, and
yeah,
to pick that as your, big finale.
yeah.
Um, I was lit, and like I said, I had a bad headache. Lydia's fiance drove me crazy the whole movie. I was just like, oh,
Oh,
I cannot stand this character.
he was he was so funny. Like, you knew he was gonna get his comeuppance. That's
Yeah,
how these were.
yeah.
That once you know he's gonna get his comeuppance, like it's like just enjoy. You know what it is? This movie is like a supernatural Arrested Development,
Hmm.
where like you're laugh like uh Delia uh is kind of gave me like, especially in this movie, she gave me like Lucille Bluth vibes.
Oh yeah.
But then she the the snake's like, no, no, I paid extra for I think another thing that really puts this one over the top for me is, if we're being completely honest, like, so twofold. Winona Ryder now, and obviously this happens. Winona Ryder now is a better actress than she was back then. That's just how it works, you know. Um, but I also think that Jenna Ortega, at the same age that Winona Ryder was, is a better actor at that age. So I think that, like, the actual acting of the main conflicted girl character um, is just better in this one.
I
Uh,
again, it's nostalgia talking.
mhm.
Lydia. I like Lydia better than I do Astrid. And that's just. And I like Lydia better in the first movie than I do in this one. Um, I don't know. I think Lydia in the first one was also iconic. Kind of that. I don't know. Was she the really first goth girl that kind of broke through on movies? I'm trying to think.
No, that would be Ali Sheedy in Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I guess I just don't think of her as goth, but yeah. Okay.
Uh, well, I mean, like, she is Ali Sheedy's more like the real goth, and then Winona Ryder is more like the over the top, like no one actually dresses like this goth.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah, and I guess also another big influence probably on Lydia was probably Elvira at the time.
oh yeah.
Um, so, but we're getting off track. This movie, I think it's worth checking out. I don't know if it's one I'll revisit over and over like I did the first one. But your mileage may vary. I have heard people love this movie, and I've heard people that didn't like this movie. So I
Mhm.
don't know. Uh, I'm gonna make a dire prediction for this franchise because while I'm sitting here looking at this poster and it says 2024 AD across it, do you think after, and this is, I don't like to think this way, it's morbid, but after Michael Keaton passes away, that eventually we will get an AI version of him, and then he actually is a ghost in the next one. It's morbid to think about, but it's also kind of fitting for the character that they would.
If they do that, uh, it all comes down to two things. So it depends on what is in Michael Keaton's will, because I think that's the
Yeah,
big thing.
yeah. James Earl Jones has, and I think Mark Hamill has too, signed off that James Earl Jones has given his voice to Star Wars. They can use
Yep.
his voice as much as they want. I guess as long as they continue to pay his family, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So
Um, so there's that. I think if they do it, definitely make him like not a character, but more of a like a translucent spirit, because I
yeah.
still don't think it's going to look good. But I think that that's going to be more of a cameo, and I think we're going to move on to a different character.
Well, I mean, with his name, the name it's kind of begs to be a trilogy. The title joke.
It does.
Um,
It does.
so I
I almost wonder if like so. It, okay, so the implication at the end of the movie is that they get rid of him, but he will never give up. That
I took it that they got rid of him, but because she had agreed to marry him, he's kind of married to her now. That she was waking up in bed with him and stuff. That
uh,
he's still there.
I didn't take it like that because um, the way that the other world works, as far as we can tell,
Uh-huh.
uh, he did break the rules that does make that contract null and void. And so that's the way I took it is the contract is null and void, but that doesn't mean that he's gonna give up.
It
Uh,
was a very horror film ending where we've killed the bad guy, and then
yeah,
oh nope, he's still here.
yeah, definitely. And so I almost wonder if okay, I don't know how this will go, but let's say that Michael Keaton, is not involved. Let's say that. But let's say that we got a time skip, and eventually, I don't know, Lydia is so lonely that she breaks down. Uh and the movie, just we got to let's start with the first movie opens with the catalyst that Lydia's mom died. Um, then the second catalyst is Lydia's dad died.
Mhm,
The catalyst of the third movie,
mhm,
and this is just me pitching, because
mhm.
I think there's something here. It the catalyst is uh for some reason, you know, Beetlejuice is sent to hell.
Ah, let's say that
No, that
word.
it's that was 8. So we just can't say it one more time. That was 8. Um, so
All right.
so
He
it
goes
start
to heck. Yeah.
yeah, and but they have a baby,
Uh huh.
and it's a Beetlejuice baby.
Oh, you said it again.
Oh, dang it!
All right.
That's 9. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking because I get what you're saying, but I also get like Son of the Mask vibes from something like that. Um, I was
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah. I grew up with Son of the Mask though. Like it's
yeah,
I acknowledge that it's a horrible movie, but I
I
watched it
would
so much growing up.
I would do the Pepe Le Pew thing here, where Lydia dies, and as a ghost, she falls in love with the ghost with the most, and now he's not interested. He was only interested in the chase. And do kind of like, like Pepe Le Pew is always chasing the cat. Then once the cat starts chasing Pepe Le Pew, he wants nothing to do with it. Something like that.
Mhm.
So
Yep, I could see that. So I am my pitch is coming from the angle that Michael Keaton is 73.
oh no, I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
completely understand why you're trying to write him out of the movie.
yeah.
I get it.
Um,
Also, he's not the main character of these movies. He never
yeah.
has been. He's
Oh
always
yeah.
been like a extra long cameo in these movies. So, um, but
uh,
yeah,
oh, another thing that I love. I love that. First of all, I love whenever he gets rid of the boy. I love what
yeah.
he said. I love his line. Um, but I like the fact that he tries to say the F word twice and he gets censored. Like I'm like, oh, that's how I would do Deadpool PG-13.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Um, I did like the Soul Train. The Soul Train made me
Oh,
laugh.
the Soul Train was amazing.
You,
Uh,
you know about the show, right? Soul
oh
Train.
yeah, oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. Like
Uh,
I was trying to explain it to my kids, and they're like, "What?"
oh,
Uh,
it's so I remember I remember how I first heard about Soul Train was actually do you remember not Mad TV, but the Cartoon Network show Mad?
hmm
And they did like different, crossover parodies like fantasy football, but with Lord of the Rings and all that. They did Soultron with like it's Kevin Flynn, but he's on Soultron. It's like Soultron.
That's funny.
Um, but yeah, I love the whole Soul Train thing, and you know what? I like the fact that so uh actor himself is a monster. But I like the fact that Delia and Charles, the characters, even though they're both dead, they got to dance away on the Soul Train. I like that.
Yeah, it was a nice ending for those
Yeah.
characters. Um, so that's our look at the franchise of the dead that won't not stay dead, and I'm curious to see what happens next. I mean, there with especially with WB bleeding money everywhere and this being a
Mhm.
success, you'd think there has to be something else planned. I could see them throwing a truckload of money at Michael Keaton for another one. Uh, we'll see. I don't know if Tim Burton will want to play, but we'll. And I don't know if this works without Tim Burton. I don't know.
And
Um,
I think Michael Keaton's at that age where it doesn't matter how much money that you throw at him. If Tim's not involved, he ain't doing it. You
right.
know?
I agree.
Yeah. It's not like it's kind of like Robert Downey Jr. Like for Robert Downey Jr. doing Doctor Doom, it wasn't the money; it was the Rousseaus coming back.
Right. What is next for Culture Shark? Do you know what's on the schedule for Spooky Month for next week?
Yes, yes. Long Halloween.
All right. So we're
Yeah.
looking at the animated film or just the story overall, or
I was thinking story overall. Like, so we can talk the graphic novel.
Mhm.
Um, we could talk, compare and contrast the film. You know what the film does better. And we could maybe even throw Mask of the Phantasm in there, like because
Okay.
a lot of Mask of the Phantasm uh, is embedded in the year 1 through year 3 stuff.
Cool. Well, I hope everybody checks us out. Checks us out next week at Sunday at is it 4 Eastern?
4 Eastern.
It's 3 my time, but 4 Eastern. That'll be a lot of fun. Long Halloween's a great, great Batman story. And until then, I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
And we'll catch you next time in the Shark Pond. Whatever.
See ya.